Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, back to Lubbock for the Red Raiders and back to Behren.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet only $5. And if your bet wins, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the FanDuel app today. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again as we are looking ahead, trying to turn the page on Tempe. Hope you have caught up with our reaction episode following the game over the weekend. Catch it if you have not. But on today's episode, we will get to what's coming to town in the form of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. We will also get to what went down in the Big 12 with your game and others, which has now muddled the picture a little bit further. And unfortunately, I think you'll be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think taking a little bit of control out of Texas Tech's hands as far as some tiebreakers and things like that are concerned. But I want to kick off the conversation, Chris, as we get back to the Jones and back to business this weekend upcoming. Is it too early in the week to know, or do we have any kind of feel as to the quarterback conversation between Will Hammond and or a return from Behren Morton?
Yeah, I would tell you that with 100% confidence, I think Behren, unless there's some sort of setback or some weird scenario here, I fully expect Behren to practice and play this weekend. I think that he could have, I don't think they wanted to go that route, and I don't think he would have been, at 100% or anything, but I think he could have played on Saturday against Arizona State. But he would have been somewhat limited, I think, and so I fully expect to see him in a very motivated Behren Morton, this weekend. And I don't know, like the thing about like Will is younger and he is going to be very good, and we see glimpses of this. There's just something about like Behrens' leadership and like the edge that he brings you it's a bit different right now, and it's probably because of his age. But I and we've said all along, you have needed both of these guys, but you'll continue to need both of them. But I'll be interested to see kind of what Behren looks like when he gets back. But that's what I absolutely assume to be the case. I don't know how he'll be listed on the injury report. I don't know what practice will look like this week. Full participants, questionable, probable, doubtful. I have no idea. But I don't think it would be doubtful. I think it would be questionable at minimum, just because he was questionable all week. And then they're saying to you that he was available in an emergency situation only. But
we can just keep him on that questionable list, to be honest, and just list him as stuff. There's just things going on. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. But this is the same injury from week one that was healing and almost done healing, and then there's the hiccup with the hit that he took versus Kansas, but I I'll just skip ahead in that I'm most curious to see how he does this weekend. I think that he could really have a big game and be very motivated to do so. And, it's not necessarily when you want to use it, but you'll see I think a fairly angry or frustrated group of Red Raiders this weekend against a lame duck, man, against a team that is never in my wildest dreams that I think that, you would be favored over a conference opponent by nearly 38 points.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the reality of what you have in store this weekend. And this is an Oklahoma State team that's got I don't know Haas Haney's situation. This is the quarterback that got hurt in week one, and he's a dude now. So if for some reason he were to come back this week, like, it changes things a bit. But if they're going to play with Sam Jackson as their quarterback, who's basically a quarterback back in the past, but is a converted quarterback now because he was playing wide receiver. Yeah, they're just, and you've got guys getting into the portal starter types. I think that is worth you need it, Cowan. This is a game where, we'll talk about it as we go, but you're kind of beat up. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Terrence Carter misses this game. I wouldn't be surprised, like Davion Carter, question mark. Jacoby Williams, I think, is going to be okay. But, this is a game where I wouldn't mind Adam Hill finishing it out in the second half. And like kind of like it looked like one of those first games of the season to where, you can get it to a point where you can pull guys out and be angry for a half and then let the other guys eat because you kind of need that. It's been a stressful 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, I guess. And you need this is you and I talking. I'm not trying to overlook anybody, but you kind of need a layup right now to where you can kind of get right, let everybody else beat up on each other, and you sit back and watch.
Sure.
With
all due respect.
Correct. Yes.
This is a team who's coming to town with their biggest running storyline being regarding fat men without shirts in the bleachers, just to give you an idea of sort of the state of things in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Section 218 or whatever it is.
I mean, that kind of tells the tale, I think. But hey, you mentioned the word practice when we're talking Behren Morton this week. Did he get a chance at that last week? Was there ever like early in the week anything, or was it just on ice?
I don't believe so. No, just not much of it. Like more mental reps, and I think I think the plan all along. We talked about this on the broadcast, but the plan all along was it was Will Hammond's game all week, and they knew it, and everybody knew it, and Will got first team reps and all the reps he would have needed really from Sunday on last week, and that was that was the plan. I don't think there was really any realistic shot for Behren to play, or that they wanted him to play, or that, whatever. And again, you go back to, okay, in break glass in case of emergency, I think he would have been an option for you had Will Hammond not been able to continue or Mitch Griffiths not been able to continue. But it was kind of you took 3 quarterbacks with you to Arizona State, and only 2 of them were suited up.
I feel like, Will Hammond was close to being a part of a tough, grinded-out win on the road for his team. Unfortunately, it goes the other way at the very end, and you take the L. But it was clearly not an easy day for Will Hammond. But I wouldn't tell you, to me, it was necessarily discouraging as far as his profile as a QB or anything. It was
not at all.
It was tough sledding, but I thought he answered the bell several times.
He got put in a really tough situation. Again, it goes back to what we talked about yesterday. On the road, motivated. It's a really good defense over there in Tempe, and they were poked and they got embarrassed, and it just made. But to Will's credit, he never quit fighting, and he made things very interesting at the very end. He trucked some poor guy again.
Him at the pylon. Just a heads up. Big 12 defenders.
Thunder at the pylon. That's right. But he had a couple throws that were big time that equal touchdowns. But it was just a grind. And he would tell you that he needed to be better, or we collectively weren't good enough and things like that. But yeah, I credit and also to his credit, after he scored that 2-point conversion and you have that 3-point lead, he's over there telling everybody it's not over. It's not over. Like, I don't want to see any celebrating over here. He was very monotone and like wasn't getting. I mean, he's very mature and he's going to be special around here. But he got put in a tough spot. But having said all that, I am very curious and intrigued and excited to see what Behren looks like this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think you have outlined in some previous conversations sort of, some of the intangible things that just come along with a guy like Behren Morton that's maybe overlooked by some fans or things like that. But they're definitely real, and I'll be glad to have him back in the mix when he's back out there. I'm sure Will be glad for his time if, God willing, and the creek don't rise. You got some garbage time this weekend as a 37.5-point favorite. I'm sure Will will be glad to get back out there. It's kind of funny, like, hey, Will, thanks for your time in Tempe. Going back home as 40-point favorites. Behren, go ahead and step in and enjoy this for a few quarters. And Will's probably thinking, man, I'd like to enjoy this for a few quarters as well. So I hope he gets another shot to do that.
Well, and this is whenever his time does come, or when you have to call on him again, He's now.
First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered, and it's quick, easy, and secure every time. Ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's episode brought to you by Quo. One of the tools that help make a large difference for business owners is Quo, formerly OpenPhone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table for your business. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. And Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications, working right through an app on your phone or computer. No more carrying two phones or relying on a landline. You'll love their built-in AI agent as well. It's a game changer for answering after-hours calls, capturing leads, and keeping business moving, even when you're off the clock. Whether you're a solo operator juggling everything or part of a larger team, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. So see why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers.
He's now all of a sudden very experienced. Started multiple games. He's helped you come in and win games. I mean, so whether it's next year, later on this year, this weekend, whatever it looks like, I mean, he now is, he's got a body of work to draw from, and he's been put in some tough situations. So this is really good for him in the future, I guess, at this position, for sure.
Yeah, no question. Okay, stepping away from Will Hammond, the QBs, and/or specifically what's coming up this Saturday for just a moment, I want to talk about what went down over the weekend in the Big 12 Conference, Chris, and obviously one of your results, the most prominent in muddling things a little further for the Red Raiders as far as things went. Tiebreakers and various things now to be considered, and unfortunately some of this out of your control, I think, at least as I understand it. You know by now, BYU gets a win over Utah, 24-21. It was Cincinnati over the Cowboys you get this week, 49-17. Houston over Arizona, Texas Christian over Baylor, UCF over West Virginia. So how are we sorting through this week as we get ready here for the stretch run?
Yeah, it got really interesting. Your sense of urgency. I mean, you're now. I mean, theoretically, Cowan, you're now in the playoffs. You can maybe survive one more league loss, but I'm not sure that you can. Because you kind of need to scoreboard watch now. If you take another loss, you really need to scoreboard watch because it is totally out of your control. And like, you know, just to kind of get everybody on the same page here, everybody's feeling frustrated and you're like, oh man, you know, why did, you know, this sucks. I thought you weren't, I don't know if anybody was under the illusion that you were going to just go undefeated. I just never thought that was on the, it's just not really what happens in the sport these days. There's too much parity and it's just too hard with injuries and everybody's got good players and good quarterbacks and the like. But if you go back to the summertime, we'd really talked about these 3 road contests, the Salt Lake City trip, the Tempe trip, and the Manhattan, Kansas trip. You are now 1-1 in those 3 games. We said aloud you had to win one of those 3 at minimum, and now you may have to win 2 of those 3 to really do the thing, because this isn't about the playoffs. This isn't about anything other than getting to Arlington. And I think that with a win this weekend, you're going to set up one of the biggest, really, I'm going to say, must-win games in years for yourself in Manhattan, Kansas. And then if you do that, then you're setting up another, because your season's really going to come down to, and I'm not trying to gloss over Oklahoma State, I'm not, but you're a 38-point favorite. But your season's going to come down to that 2-week stretch here in a couple weeks at Manhattan, Kansas, playing Kansas State, and then back at home against BYU. Cincinnati and BYU have to play. I think BYU's got to go to Iowa State this weekend. They've got to go to Ames, and Iowa State's coming off of a bye, and they were embarrassed, against Colorado the last time we saw them. There's going to be enough collateral damage, but Arizona State's the team that you ought to be concerned about. I mean, that's the one that they have. They have enough. I think they play Iowa State as well. You need to be a big Iowa State fan the rest of the way. I will tell you that. I think that, and I don't know if Houston can pull it off or not, but Houston plays in Tempe this next Saturday night, and you need to be rooting for the Cougs. Arizona State needs another. You need to give them another loss. But really, again, I think if you handle your business, but it may require you winning out. I mean, that's just all. It's just like I knew this was the one. Like, had you gotten the win over Arizona State, you are, everybody else is chasing you. You still have your mulligan in your back pocket should you need it, and the tiebreakers over certain teams. But now that is, and then in Utah didn't do you any favors because you really needed Utah to beat BYU. But this is the way it was going to be. So this may require an 11-1 regular season to get to where you want to go. Just how things have worked out. That's just the reality of it. But one at a time, but it really is about getting through this weekend, and all signs, everything is on the table when you go to Manhattan, Kansas. That's the one now. That's the game that you must absolutely have. And if you get it, you set yourself up for one of the biggest home games in years. Again, not to gloss over UCF or Oklahoma State or West Virginia, but it's a 5-game deal left, and you've got two that are right there in the middle that are back to back. That's really, it's all on the line. I mean, you're kind of in the playoffs right now. So the sense of urgency, man, it's ramped up significantly right now.
And I think, really, as far as the standard, the kind of the level that you were going to have to reach anyway to wind up in a conference contending kind of conversation in November, you knew would be this kind of territory. So unfortunately, like you said on the reaction episode as well, the mulligan was utilized earlier than you would have liked to have had to roll it out. Not that you wanted to ever have to use it, but adds a little urgency as you get now toward the end of October, but still a very similar circumstance as far as the margin for error being nil that you thought you'd be in. I mean, you think you're pursuing like a 1 or 2 loss type of season if you think you're pursuing a conference title or maybe something in the playoff. I do wonder, and I'll go ahead and just qualify all of this upcoming conversation or portion of the conversation by saying we know the national media hates the Big 12 conference. They will not cut you any breaks no matter what. But I'm sort of wondering how you view the Big 12's rep being impacted by some of these results, because it's like, okay, number 7 just got taken down by a team that got beat 42-10 the previous weekend. And then that team went and lost on the road that beat them 40. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, depending on the conference you're in, oh, look at the parity, the bottom of the league, the middle of the league, so strong because of what they've done against the blah, blah, blah. If it's the Big 12, oh, look how weak the top of the league is being done by the middle or the, how this goes. So how have you been processing, I guess, that part of it, maybe from a national perspective?
Well, I think Texas Tech had the best chance to be an at-large bid. Just because of how much national attention you got in your ranking, how bad you had beaten teams, and all those things. And yet I don't know if it can work out this way, but like if you were to go 11-1 and then lose a close game in the title game, maybe, but really now it's going to have to be about like a BYU being that scenario too. But they've just got too much meat left on the schedule, man. And like, obviously Texas Tech and BYU are going to play. Somebody's going to lose that game. So I mean, it's what I felt all along. I just think you're staring at a 1-bid league. But right now, I just think you just continue to handle your business and focus on trying to get to Arlington. That's what the task has always been. I just don't know if you're going to get any sort of benefit. And I don't know, like, is Cincinnati, can they hang on? And, like, they're not on your schedule. I think they have a game. They have got lots of meat left on their schedule as well. But I just don't know if there's enough there. Like, I think people were ready to do this with Utah, like kind of go, okay, this is. Yeah. But I think now that they've lost 2 conference games and the way that they've lost them, I just don't know if you're staring at a. And again, we still have so much left to go that maybe there's some scenarios we haven't thought of or like that are created like going on elsewhere. But I think you're grasping at straws if you're hoping hopefully we can be in that large. That's for you. It would require you to win out and lose a close game, a very close game, and even then you're going to have to sweat it out on getting in that large berth. But right now, just give me to Arlington, man, and let yourself control your own destiny. But you're going to have to win out, I think, probably to control your own scenario. And I guess there's a few scenarios where if you went out and maybe it just would have to fall perfectly for you to get squeezed, but I don't know if that's possible or not. So I just, again, beat BYU and beat Kansas State and then handle your business against these other 3 teams that you're better than.
There you go. One of those coming to town, mulletless. I'm not kidding. There's probably a mullet somewhere in that crowd, but not the one that we've enjoyed so much, Chris. They'll be without a familiar face in Mike Gundy. And, yeah, a big number to start the week. I think began 37.5 or so with a little movement. But
I mean, Cowan, they haven't won a Big 12 game.
First, today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money today. Use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year.
They haven't won a Big 12 game. I think the last Big 12 game that they won, how about this? I think I'm right here. I think the last Big 12 game that they won was the final Bedlam.
They haven't just call it good after that one.
Yeah, they haven't won a game since mid-November. And I think I'm right there, but I think that was the last, because then they made the Big 12 title game, got smoked against Texas. And they winless last year, winless this year. I mean, this is a program that is reeling. Get jumped ahead on the coaches search. You've got guys, like I said, jumping into the portal midseason starters. And I will say that one of their starting offensive tackles jumped in the portal recently. He's, I think, semi-coveted. They've got a really good defensive end named Wendell Gregory that I think will be coveted in the portal. He's originally from Georgia. Should pique your interest there, because of some other things you've got going in the recruiting. Originally started out South Carolina and all that. He's younger. I think he had 3 sacks in the opener, and he's just been targeted ever since. Where he's not been able to seek higher ground, so to speak. But there's just not much to speak of there with their roster. They're running trick plays. I mean, you've got a converted quarterback at wide receiver. This is a weird dynamic, and kind of also a perfect example of college football in 2025. Because of all the things that go on in the parity, that they just say, we're going to skip way ahead of everybody and get a head start on our coaches search. And we run the risk of losing players. They've been grandfathered in to where their players can get into the portal. But like some of the rules have since been changed midway through the season, I think, to where like if you're seeing coaching changes now, and I don't think those players are allowed to get into the portal. I think they've got to stay there and wait till a new coach is hired before they get into the portal. Weird dynamic all going on, but Oklahoma State grandfathered in, so benefit to Texas Tech there because they're going to be without some of their better players, and they didn't really have that many to begin with.
Yeah, and I'm never going to feel sorry for Oklahoma State. I remember 66-6 very, very well.
Oh, yeah.
Run it up, you blitz all night.
Yeah, I don't want them to gain another yard.
Let's get it started early this week. We're pissed off for greatness, I hope. Sorry, Oklahoma State. You're just happening to be on the tracks as we're getting rolling this way. All right, Chris, looking forward to plenty more this week with you as we will look further into the Cowboy cause coming to town and the Red Raiders trying to rally, bounce back as you still got everything you're after out in front of you, but you've got to take care of business, as Chris has said, on weekends like this to keep those stakes high for some of those more premier matchups. So hopefully we can navigate it well, continue to get ready for that as we roll through the week, and we'll hear, of course, between now and our next conversation from Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire and others. So some thoughts to process on the next episode with you, and looking forward to it, Chris. We'll see you then.
I'm looking forward to it too, man. You're still a top 15 team. You are 6-1. You control your own destiny for the most part, and nothing has changed. It's just a little hiccup on the road with your backup quarterback in there against the reigning Big 12 champs that were pissed off for greatness, and you caught one. Now it's time to punch back and just keep punching.
That's right. We are throwing blows low, high, in between all week.
Like my man Lee Hunter did.
That's right. On Locked On Texas Tech. Thank you so much for the time. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the everydayers for always riding along. And, of course, the Matador Mob. Hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial if you're interested in joining that outlaw crew. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.